Hello YouTube, welcome back to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about why some smaller buildings might have voice evac systems. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm sure most of you know what a voice evac system is, but for those of you who don't, a very simplified explanation is that a voice evac system, unlike a traditional system, which is just horns and strobes that beep and tell you to leave the building, a voice evacuation system is a voice-assisted alarm system that will play a message or something through the alarm system when activated. So it gives you instructions to leave the building, generally used for, places of assembly. There's definitely regulations that require when you need a voice system, usually larger buildings like hospitals, airports, high-rise buildings, anywhere with a really large occupant load, that would be a place where you want voice evac systems. Obviously, when you have a lot of panicked people, it's really good to have instructions telling them what to do. But more importantly, it allows someone, maybe the fire department or whoever, to go to the fire alarm panel and make emergency announcements through the alarm system. Because obviously, unlike a traditional system of just horns, a voice evac system has speaker strobes. So it's basically just a glorified paging system. So knowing the fact that voice evac systems are generally specified for really large applications like hospitals, malls, high-rises, things like that, it might beg the question to a lot of people, how come I see a lot of voice evac systems in really small shops and things like that? It's really common for me to get comments asking why there's a voice evac system in a small grocery store, things like that. Pretty common question. And it's a really simple answer. The reason is because even though the shop is small, that does not mean the building is small. A lot of people just assume that because the shop you're in is just a small shop, then that means that it only needs its own fire alarm system, but that's just not true. If you're in a large city, for example, which I think this is usually where you see this, the first floor of a lot of buildings is retail space, shops, restaurants, things like that. Each of those is its own suite, but the actual building has its own fire alarm system, and all of the suites have fire alarm devices that are connected to the system of the building. So even though the little Starbucks you see down on the first floor of a massive high-rise building is only just a little small Starbucks, that doesn't mean that it has its own fire alarm system. The fire alarm system protects the entire building. So in other words, the fire alarm system for that shop is the same system that's in the whole building and therefore needs to be a voice evac system. So here's an example of this. This is a small grocery store on the first floor of a building, and you're like, why does it have speaker strobes? Why would it need that when it's just a small store? Well, if you go outside and you look up, you can see that this is not just a small grocery store. This is an entire building. It's a high-rise residential apartment building and therefore needs a voice evac system. Here's another example. This is literally a Trader Joe's in the USC Village, and you're like, okay, it's a Trader Joe's, it's a grocery store. What are we protecting, right? The fruits don't need voice evacuation instructions. Well, if you go outside, once again, this is not just a Trader Joe's. It just so happens that the retail spaces are on the first floor. And if you look up, this is a student housing complex. So obviously it does need a voice evac system. Here's another example. This is a restaurant with a voice evac system, and you can see it is, once again, not just a restaurant, it is a whole apartment building. So if you don't get this, just think of it as a small shop in the airport. Like if you have a little Burger King or something inside of an airport, that Burger King isn't going to have its own entirely independent fire alarm system. Usually the fire alarm devices in that Burger King will just be tied into the main building's fire alarm system. It might have its own, node or whatever, but it's not an independent fire alarm system. So think of it like this. Each individual store is not going to have its own independent alarm system. Now, I guess if you see a voice evac system in a building that's truly independent, there could be some reasons for that. It could be the alarm company just trying to upsell the customer, or it could be that the business just wants a versatility because, a voice evac system is really versatile. It basically serves the same purpose as a horn strobe system, but you can just add whatever you want to it, whether that's messages, tones, whatever you want down the road. You're basically future-proofing the system. So maybe that's why, but for the most part, I don't think you'll see a voice evac system in a truly small building. So that's pretty much all there is for this topic. It definitely is a really simple topic with a really simple answer. I'm sure it's pretty intuitive for most people, but I hope that explanation made sense. Thank you for watching this video. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you in the next one.